Hi, Alex. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so I came across you on TikTok, and I would love for you to just sort of tell me the full version of your story. And I only saw a snippet of how, you weren't very happy in your life, and then once you came out, you sort of transformed physically and mentally and became a much happier person. So tell me how that journey went for you.
Yeah, well, it was a long and arduous journey, but I guess I really need to paint a little bit of background for you first. I was raised in a small town here in Texas, in a very rural, very conservative, very traditional area, and was also raised in a very traditional Christian family. So that said, there were no examples of happy, healthy, out gay people in my life until I was an adult. So as I began to realize that I was attracted to males, it was just something that I didn't consider to be an option. I got very good at compartmentalizing that part of myself and rejecting it and repressing it. And I was able to do so, I guess you would say, successfully for a number of years. But eventually, I went on to get married to a wonderful woman. We were married for 15 years up until 2 years ago, when finally the weight of the shame and the guilt became too much to bear. I equate shame to cancer. It just eats away at you gradually over time until you just can't exist anymore. You have to do something. So at the time, 2 years ago, when I finally decided to come out, I was 45 years old, so a late bloomer. Um, People ask me, what made you decide to do it at that time, or how did you choose to do it? It wasn't really a choice anymore. I felt like I had to do it. I had to live my truth to continue to breathe, because the shame and the guilt were just suffocating. So that's what I did. That was almost exactly 2 years ago. The first person I came out to was my now ex-wife, and then our two daughters. They're wonderful, amazing girls, ages 14 and 19, and subsequently friends and family after that. It's kind of been a gradual process. And a funny side note, I still had, I guess you would say, half a foot, maybe some toes in the closet. Professionally, I wasn't necessarily out at work in my career until my first coming out video blew up on TikTok, and I was outed by TikTok at work. But I'm fine with that. Everything happens for a reason, and everyone's been super supportive, and it's actually been freeing to know that that last final chapter of being in the closet is over, is ended. So that's kind of how I got to be to this point. I will say that at the time that I came out, I made a couple of decisions. One was that I would live the rest of my life authentically and have genuine relationships with people that I cared about. Because when you're in the closet, that's not an option. You can't do that. You constantly have your guard up. You're constantly on the defense. You don't want to do anything that might tip someone off to your secret. So you cannot live authentically or have genuine connections. It's just impossible. So I resolved to do that. And then I resolved to really try to get myself in shape mentally and physically. I've always enjoyed working out. I've run here and there, but I had a lot more time to do so. So I tried to use that time constructively, and came out of it a year and a half later in the best shape of my life, mentally and physically, and happier and healthier than I had ever even known was possible.
So, what were your relationships like after you came out, as far as like family and friends?
I'll tackle those kind of individually. A lot of people consistently ask about my relationship with my ex-wife. It's good. It's as good as could be expected. She's a very strong woman. She's strong in her faith. She has a strong family and support network, so I'm thankful for that. Obviously, it was hard. Obviously, it was difficult. Obviously, it was painful. But I feel like every day gets a little bit easier, and the healing process is ongoing. And through the entire thing, the ups and the downs, We have put our children first and focused on them instead of us. So everything's been very amicable, as amicable as could be expected, and I'm very thankful for that. So that was my ex-wife and her reaction. My daughters were the next two people that I came out to, and they are amazing, supportive, loving girls who are so incredibly mature for their ages. They made it clear that they loved me unconditionally from the first instant, and I'll say that, you know, children of that generation really give me hope for the future because they don't see gay as being unnatural or not normal. It's just a normal part of life. Some people are gay, some people are straight, whatever. They're friends with everyone and they love everyone and accept everyone, not just my daughters, but their entire peer group. So it really gives me hope, and it's refreshing to see that, you know, ultimately my goal is for someday coming out to not even be a thing. And I feel like that could be someday soon, based on the reaction of the kids that are of my daughter's generation. So that makes me happy. Other relationships, the relationship with my biological family is somewhat strained. It's not the same. Again, they are still very traditional Christians in a very rural, traditional, conservative area. So we've just kind of agreed to disagree on some things. I will say they're very kind. They are considerate. They are definitely not supportive of a gay life, of anyone being gay. I hesitate to use the term gay lifestyle because it's really not a lifestyle. But they're not supportive of that. But we can still be cordial and we can still get along and be kind to each other, even though we have that difference of opinion. And then, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
And then from there, relationships, you know, with friends and with coworkers have by and large been supportive. You know, everyone needs different amounts of time to process something that can be as shocking as a person that you've known for their whole life, being a straight guy, a married guy, a family guy, a dad, you know, one day making the decision that he's going to live his truth and own up to his sexuality. Different people need different times and different amounts of space to process that. And I've tried to give everyone in my life, in my circles, that time and that space to process it. And by and large, the reaction has been very supportive. I'm very thankful for that.
And you talk about your family being raised Christian. According to like the basically like what I've been seeing on your profile, you do still follow that religion. How do you get any criticism of still being a Christian even though you came out as gay? Because that's something that you don't see all the time.
That is definitely something that you don't see all of the time. And to be honest, Alexander, one of the first things I did was do some research to make sure that what I thought about my relationship with God still held true, even if I were a homosexual. And thankfully, there's so many positive examples of theologians and researchers who have put in the time and effort to research the 6 specific verses in the Bible that deal with same-sex attraction or homosexuality. And I was able to make complete and total peace with that. What also helped in my journey was finding an amazing and wonderful church, many of which the members are my chosen family now. They love everyone. They believe God's love is radically inclusive, and that God's commands are to love Him and to love others. And there's no asterisk as to who the others could be. As long as you're loving, then you're doing what God wants you to do, and you can absolutely be a Christian. And I'm really passionate because I believe a lot of people in religion have made members of the LGBTQ community believe that they had to choose between their faith or their sexuality. And that is absolutely not the case. So I'm very passionate about trying to spread that message, that there are affirming churches. Even if you don't go to church, you can still have a relationship with God if you choose to do so.
So you are in an interesting circumstance where you did have happiness in your life before,
Yes.
and way and you do now, how do you think that definition of what happy is for you changed since you came out?
Oh, that's a great question. I will say that the happiness that I felt like I experienced before um, feels like it was pretty superficial in hindsight, compared to the happiness and the joy. I mean, just the freedom of living your truth and being authentic and being able to be genuine and have genuine connections with people. Um, it's indescribable, and I think it just makes someone inherently joyful and gracious and just happy. So it's just a different level of happiness, I guess, if you would say, where I can fully appreciate and fully feel and fully enjoy. Um, so, yeah.
I definitely can see how physically looking better helps you feel better and gaining that strength helps you feel happier. But as far as what you can't see, how did you gain mental confidence after transitioning your life?
It comes over time. Doesn't happen instantly. It takes some work. It takes some reflection. It takes some focus. Again, I've continued to do research that would help me figure out who I was going to be in this new chapter in my life, and what values and priorities I was going to hold. Um, yeah, I've additionally been meeting with a therapist, which has been extremely beneficial. I specifically sought out a member of the LGBTQ community who was a therapist, and I happened to find one who was a Christian as well. So it's been an amazing experience. That's a more recent development. But yeah, it just, you know, once you're given the opportunity to really figure out who you are, it's like a gift. So I've tried to take full advantage of that, and I feel like it's a work in progress, but I feel like I've made leaps and bounds over the past 2 years.
Do you ever look back and wish that you would have come out sooner than you did?
Yes and no. I hesitate to say I have any regrets because I believe everything happens for a reason and everything happens in the time and the manner that it should. I really do. Um, I look back and think, well, what if times had been different and I had the courage to come out in high school? Well, would I have my daughters? Probably not. Would my life be completely different? Probably so. And I had a wonderful, amazing life. Unfortunately, it was not one I was able to live authentically, but I wouldn't change a minute of it. I wouldn't change a single minute of my journey.
And there are, unfortunately, you see, I'm sure there's plenty of criticism, but there's some people who go through complete rejection from their families at a much younger age. And unfortunately, we're in sort of a time in the world where a lot of those people are back at home in the environment where they're not accepted. So, what kind of advice would you give anybody who has come out or maybe hasn't come out yet and is facing that backlash with their family that they're now living back with?
Yeah, that's a great light or a great thought in light of the pandemic, and it's something that even in non-pandemic times I'm passionate about, and that's that all people, especially young people, deserve to be loved unconditionally. Period. End of story. It's their parents' job to love them. That's it. That's your responsibility as a parent. Love your child as they are unconditionally. If you have differences of opinion in religion or culture, or whatever the case may be, your relationship with your child is paramount to all of that. So for those that unfortunately, and there are way too many of them that don't have that in their biological family, they don't have that type of support. My heart goes out to them. It's absolutely a travesty. Um, but I do like to let them know that there are resources out there. There are people who will support them, people who will love them. There are people on TikTok and Instagram. Um, Mama Jill Wallace is amazing. She's just the best example of parenting a happy, healthy LGBTQ kid that I've ever encountered, and she spreads that love to, I think she's got like 600,000 or 700,000 followers on TikTok now. So, and there are many more than her. People that are there to support those who need support, that don't have that type of support and unconditional love and acceptance from their family. There are people out there, I'm one of them, that will support you, that will be there for you, that will listen to you, and that will love you unconditionally.
And there are plenty of people who come out and don't publicize it at all and don't put it on TikTok. Mm-hmm. Why did you make a choice to put it out that way?
That's a great question, Alexandra. Okay, so the real story is when I made the first before and after coming out video about a month ago, I had 18 followers on TikTok. And I assumed 18 people would be the most that would see it. And primarily those followers were my daughters and their friends. So I really thought, I'm just doing this kind of for fun. My daughters will think it's cool. 15 people might see it. I had absolutely no idea that within the first hour it would have 10,000 views, and then 20, and then 30, and then go on to have, I think, 300,000 views and 50,000 likes. And the coolest part about it, and one of the main reasons that I have no regrets about it having happened this way, are the comments. Amazing, supportive, kind, loving, inspiring, hopeful words from literally thousands of strangers. It's been overwhelming and amazing, and it's really heartwarming to know that there are that many kind, supportive, loving people just randomly out there doing what they do. It's inspired me. It really has.
And I think in the contrary, I felt like as acceptance for the LGBTQ community has grown, a lot of hate has also grown with it. Like I've seen it's so much positivity surrounded by like an outer bubble of way more negativity than there used to be. So a lot of people out there, I've noticed just in other people's comments and on social media saying everybody's gay, like you're making it up, it's for attention, or it just seems like unfortunately that acceptance has come with a whole different wave of rejection. So when you're faced with that attitude, how do you react to that?
I will say, that I'm fortunate in that I live in Austin, Texas, which is a very liberal, a very accepting, a very laid back, a very welcoming place. I mean, people really do just accept everyone for who they are, and they love everyone here. So it's a little bit easier for me, I realize, than it is for people, say, that are still in the area where I grew up. But I think the issue that you're referring to is a snapshot of our culture at large, where everything is so divisive now, so polarizing. It seems almost as if, trying to find common ground has gone out of style. People seem to no longer be able to agree to disagree and still get along. And it's crazy, at every level, especially, you see it in politics where it's just so divisive. So I think that's really just the issue of, LGBTQ community being more comfortable being who they are, and that coming with increased hate. I think it's just a reflection of our society at large and where it is, unfortunately. Again, I'll say I'm blessed in that I've received very little of that, if any, really. But I know others are not as fortunate in certain areas. So, yeah, it's sad. I don't know what the solution is, but hopefully someday we figure out how to agree to disagree and still get along sometime, and just be kind to people regardless of whether or not we agree with them.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, you didn't only reach the 15 people you thought you were going to reach. So now that you have this platform, well, I guess fortunately, not unfortunately, now that you have this platform, what is the main message you hope people take away from your content?
I want to attempt to return a little bit of that support, that positive energy, that inspiration, and that hope to whoever needs it, because it's been poured out upon me, especially by the TikTok family. I've been on Instagram for a while, but wasn't super active. But to go from 18 followers to, I think, 18,000 followers on TikTok in 4 weeks has been just crazy amazing. So I feel like, I've been given this platform for a reason to do good for someone. And my whole theory on that is if I can just give hope or support to one person that didn't have it otherwise, then it's time well spent. So hopefully I can continue to produce content that people find either inspiring or supportive or hopeful or just funny. And if I'm able to bring a smile to their face or hopefully accomplish all of those at the same time, then it's worth the time and it's worth the effort. Yeah, it's for greater good for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to sit down and answer some great questions.
Sure. It was great meeting you, and I think you're changing a lot of people's lives for the better. So
Uh,
thankful for what you're doing. I'm not even part of the community, and I'm affected by it. So that just shows the kind of reach that you have. So
I appreciate that very much.
keep on doing what you're doing.
Thank you, Alexandra.
All right. Thank you so much.
You bet. Take care.
You too.